Welcome to the High Level Human Podcast, a production of the James McGee Show. With your host, James McGee. He pulls no punches. He's in your face, and he keeps it real. Join him for candid discussions about life, leadership, and living the life of a high-level human.
Welcome back to the High Level Human Podcast. I am your host. I am James McGee. So welcome back and welcome to the first episode of Man's Man Monday. Monday is for men, but ladies, don't change the channel because it's for you too. So I'm going to explain that a little bit of what my passion is about being a man's man and why. But Mondays, that's what we're going to do on Mondays, 5-10 minutes. Just talking about being a man's man, talking about what a man is, what a man should be. We shouldn't have to talk about that. We know what a man should be. We've had plenty of examples going back generations and generations, but for some reason, there has been a movement during this generation of toxic masculinity. Don't really know what that means. Just the things I hear about it is pretty dumb. Think about where we would be in this country, in this world without men. I am as far as removed from a sexist theory as I am not a sexist. I have a daughter who I have raised no different than I raised my son. I raised a warrior. I did not raise a princess. I do not think that women's place is in the kitchen, making me a sandwich and having babies and worship, because I don't think that at all. I think women should be strong, independent women. And we're going to cover that one day. I cover that a lot in my blogs, and I'll cover that plenty of times in my podcasts. But I have a passion about what the role of men should be. Men should be masculine. Men should be what I call a man's man. A man's man is not a Neanderthal. A man's man is not barbaric. A man's man, he's a dude. And he does dude stuff. And he lives to take care of his family. He is trained to take care of his family, and that's what he does. And we should not tell men they shouldn't be dangerous and they shouldn't be masculine and they should tone their masculinity. We don't want that. That's not how our country was built. That's not how this world was built. Where would we be without men who physically built this country? Men who died and physically fought for this country. We do not want to have a world without men. So that is something that every Monday we are going to talk about just dude stuff. And men should be able to, let's talk about dangerous, because that is something that seems to be some sort of a debate. But I've studied Dr. Jordan Peterson a lot. And if you study him, man, this guy, I'm not even going to try to, he's on such a different intellectual level. I'm not even going to try to say it like he does, but research him a little bit. But basically what he says is a good man is not a weak man. A weak man, there's no use. They're useless. A weak man is useless. A man should be dangerous, should be strong, should be capable of a high level of violence, but should have the morality and the discipline to control it. Think about that. Think about that. That's the kind of man we need. I can tell you that he said it. He is right on the money, and he said it right. But I can attest to that. Weak men are not what this nation needs, and it's definitely not what you want. Men, I came from a 30-year law enforcement background, And I will tell you that now it's not just I'm not a generation basher. I think this generation, man, I'll tell you this straight up. This generation is smarter, the smartest generation I think we've ever had, because they have information at their fingertips. They are inquisitive. They are they really want to learn, and they research. They're diverse. They are a different level, but a lot of them weren't raised like my generation. My generation, it seems like every generation goes down a little bit when it comes to that. Now, every generation says that the one before, the one after them is weak. And I know my dad's generation said that. My grandfather's generation, my grandfather was a World War II generation. To me, that is, there's no better generation than that. Those were men. Those were just man's man. But I will tell you that weak men do weak things. Weak men, when you have a weak man, well, let's take it where I came from in law enforcement. You know, we see a lot of times, sometimes there are shootings, and a cop maybe didn't perform well, or maybe could have not shot the person. And you'll hear a lot of times the law enforcement administrators say they made a mistake. They they got scared and they reacted, and people don't believe it. Well, let me tell you what, that's true. And the reason why is a weak person, a person who is easily scared, a person that is that has not been tested, a person that has not been pressure tested. You got to be pressure tested. You got to know how you're going to react. And a lot of times you see that. So a lot of times cops have gotten in trouble. They've gotten fired, and they even went to prison when they had no malice. They reacted because in a way, because they were scared. They were not a dangerous, strong, pressure tested person. So what we want to do is we want to stop training cops, or look, anybody. Every man should be able to do that. We want us to enter the debate of cops shouldn't be trained a certain way, shouldn't be trained with knives, shouldn't be trained to choke people, shouldn't be trained in all these different ways. Why not? They have to have the discipline to use it when it is appropriate, the discipline to use it, not to use it when it is not appropriate. But they damn sure should be able to protect themselves and protect us. And men should be able to protect their families. There is no such thing as too dangerous. No such thing at all. Because I promise you, it is when you see, and let's look at the civilian world. A lot of times you'll see people who are carrying weapons, and I'm a pro Second Amendment person, but they shot somebody, they got scared, and they shot somebody, they shot the wrong person. Well, that person, I promise you, was not a well-trained, dangerous, disciplined person. Because when a person is well-trained and well-disciplined and taught to be a man, they don't react that way. That's not how warriors react. So we should be raising warriors. Ladies, I know there's a lot of single moms out there. You raise your son to be a warrior. You raise your son to defend himself and defend his family. And I tend to talk about that in the self-defense or the combatives way. But let's look at everyday life. How many men that we have out there, young men, that don't know how to change a tire, that don't know what to do in an emergency, that is not prepared. A man's man is going to be prepared for any type of emergency for his family. A man's man is going to be able to. I come from Southwest Louisiana. We are Hurricane Alley. We have been hit with several hurricanes. In 2005, we were devastated by Hurricane Rita. In 2020, the most recent one, Hurricane Laura. Well, a man's man is not depending upon the government to take care of them. A masculine man, the type of man that we need in this world is going to take care of himself and is going to take care of his family. So we have got to stop allowing this movement, and we have to create our own movement. So on Mondays, we're going to have the movement. The movement is going to be Man's Man Monday. And I would like for you to join me. We're going to join the movement. There are many people like me. There are many people with platforms who are saying the same thing, and we're going to keep saying it. We have got to get back to raising men. Can you argue with the results? So I'll tell a quick story. So I have a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He has a brother who's real close to, had some nephews. They were at a family function one night, and his brother's sons, his nephews, they were running around. They were cutting up. And my friend looked at his brother and he said, "Man, I'm a little concerned about how you're raising your children." Now that's offensive. It's offensive, but I think he was, from the things that he told me of what they were doing, I think something needed to be said. His brother, they were close. Well, his brother looked at him and he said, "I'm not choosing to raise my kids like mom and dad raised us." And he looked at him and he said, "Both of us have successful businesses. We are both millionaires. Can you argue with the results?" So that's what I'd like for you to think about. Can you argue with the results of the generations before us and how this country was built and how this country has been maintained, and how we became and have maintained the greatest country in the world and a superpower? So I'm going to leave tonight with, we're going to talk about every Monday about what a man should be. But I'm going to also leave with a quote every Monday from Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor. He said, "Quit talking about what a good man should be one." We're going to talk about it every Monday, but we're also going to end with that. Let's this week go and not talk about what a good man is the rest of the week. Let's just be one. Have a good week. We'll see you Monday. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow night for Two Finger Tuesday. I'll explain that more tomorrow night, but the same time tomorrow night, Two Finger Tuesday. See you then.